Hello ladies and gentlemen to the Black Vulkar's Guide to Dread Palace 8-man story mode. This will be a couple of members of the guild plus some public members. And we're going to start off with Dreadmaster Bestia. So, Bestia. She's quite a simple boss. She has her challenging moments, and I will go over everything that comes up during the fight, on each fight. Just to make you aware, there's going to be a lot of these narrated videos just to teach SM to the guild members and also anyone that needs to know them. So, immediately, what happens is the boss will not be available because there'll be a shield on her. What happens is if you've got, you need two tanks here, so what happens is one tank would make sure that he takes his side of the frame. So how we normally do this is, so I'm on the right hand side of the operations frame at the moment, so I take care of the right hand side adds, and the other tank being on the left will take care of the left hand side adds. The ads you need to be focused on here as a DPS is the lavas. The larger ones you don't need to worry about as much. The lavas are quite strong. They are ranged, they do tunnel as well, but luckily when they do tunnel you still have them targeted, so you don't lose the target, you just follow them to where they pop up and just keep burning. They will periodically keep spawning as well. It won't be constantly, but they will periodically keep spawning. Now I'm doing this as a power tech tank. Normally my other videos you'll see me as a healer, but I went as a power tech tank for this. And this is pretty much it, it's just a mop up crew for the ads. Once you get through this final lava, which I think is the second spawn of ads, that's it, the boss comes down. Now what I do is I main tank this, so I drag her off over into a corner here, near to the doorway. I'm actually between a couple of pieces of the dread growth that are on the wall. And what happens is if I get knocked back at all, I'll make sure that I'm between something where I won't be able to get knocked back against, you see. And that's it, you can honestly hold her here the entire fight. However, DPS wise, excuse the actual cast tray and buff trays, I like to make sure I've got them nice and large. Right, what happens is the DPS will get a random mark put on them, and you'll see yourself with a red mist around your body. Now you need to move that because the red mist is going to be, it's in the back there, you can see the yellow mist on the floor. It will land on the floor, expand, anyone that goes in it will obviously get hurt, and it stays there. You know, it will eventually dissipate, but it will stay there for quite some time. So you just need to move away from the group, especially away from the main fight. If you're melee, you really need to. And that's it for that. However, there's the other one right now, and the red will be on you, and you'll know the difference because it is a proper large AOE. Just move away from group, preferably a healer. Just stay with them. Just put a bubble on them or put something on them, and put something on that's going to tick over. That way you can just come back to the fight, and they'll be healed by the time they get back. And then you just keep burning the boss. However, there will be one to two more, I believe it's just one more spawn of ads on story mode. And what you do is you have your co-tank take those ads. He'll wide taunt them, single taunt them off. I've had a lot of it, just a bit of a tip here is, I've had it in the past where tanks get annoyed about where someone uses a wide taunt on ads when they're tanking the boss, so it takes the boss off of them. Well, I honestly do not see why people get so irate about it, because there is no need. There is no need for that. You can just single taunt the boss back. Just single taunt him back, it's simple. I had to swap positions there because someone left one of the yellow AoEs too close. She's a fairly simple fight. The only thing that gets tricky is when all the ads come in. But as long as the other tank takes them all off you, you're fine. As you can see, she's getting quite weak now. The DPS was rather strong this night, so all the bosses go down rather quickly. We're all pretty much adequately geared, except for a couple of members. For being story mode via group finder, you'll get bolstered anyway. And I believe she's about to go down. There we go. So that's Bestia. That's the first boss of Dread Palace. Moving on to Tyrans. Tyrans is quite, I actually find it quite a fun boss, to be honest with you. Story mode, very simple this. However, you see that person over there on the right? They just weren't listening to me. What happens is this. When you tank it, just solo tank it. No need to worry about having a second tank. It's absolutely fine. You know, the other person can just swap to just mainly focusing on DPS on story mode. It's not a problem. Now, what he's going to do is he's going to put a mark on you. And what's going to happen is, you'll know the cast, because it looks like one of the artifact fragments. He's casting it right now. And boom, see, I've got the red. Take the red over to the right hand side. Make sure left is safe, right is red. So left good, right dead, basically. But don't worry though, if you're on one of the blocks, even when it disappears, you'll fall down to the bottom and you'll take full damage, but you can come back up again. The fire cast. When you see a red circle on the floor and it begins to grow a bit bigger, don't stand in it, just move away. Move away as soon as it happens. Now the boss its aggro table does drop, so when, let's say right there, he'll pass it on to somebody else. As soon as I've got it, he'll pass it on to somebody else, so you'll see a random DPS has got it now, see? And luckily he did the right thing, he moved over to the right hand side. So you'll see me here, that from a tank's perspective, I'll tank it to the corner and slowly move out the way of the flames. Boom, there's the flames. There will be a lot of raid-wide damage here. And as you can see, the other guy's got it at the moment. And then that DPS goes to the right place. Anywhere on the right hand side is fine. Preferably go for like the far corners, but it's all good. Now unfortunately, the other tank here this evening was actually a public member, and he as much as I tried to tell him, don't worry about taunting it, he kept taunting it off me periodically, and I don't understand why, but it's just how it goes. And you see I've got it again, so I'll move to the right. Boom, there we go. For a healer's perspective, AoE heals are a must here. This can be really simplified with ranged DPS, because randomly you are going to get one DPS end up being marked with a red AoE like that. If you're ranged and you're all far back, obviously you're not going to pose a threat to the tanks. You can just walk off into the distance and then come back again. Also make it for healers. I always find that having ranged DPS is just easier for them. Just the fact that everyone's at range in the same place, you can easily just throw down an AoE heal to keep everyone alive. However, it is a good mix. You know, a good ideal mix really is having 2 ranged and 2 melee. Good balanced deal of DPS that way. Now you probably saw there that someone did get knocked off, but don't worry, they can come back. What you do is, if you get knocked to the floor, right in the middle of the room, there's a holocron, and you just click it and you'll end up back up here again. Now when it gets to this where there's only like one way to go, don't panic. Whenever you get the red, do not panic. You've got plenty of time. Plenty of time to sort something out. As you can see, he's very low on health now. He'll be going down quite shortly. I would just always say the same to anyone. Make sure left hand side is just safe. You know, it's a very simple premise. I've had a few people beforehand where they've actually completely cut us off both sides, and we were just stuck at the back. And luckily we still managed to do it on the last square, but it's not good practice. Okay, CALAPHAYUS. Or CALAPHAYUS as some people call him. So, right here you'll see that he's got his throne in the middle, there's two fountains there in the front, there's actually a couple more in the back there, left and right sides, but that will come up in a minute. Okay, so, this boss has more mechanics to it. Yeah, it was more difficult back in the past, because on story mode you had 3 phases, whereas now, I mean yes you do still have 3 phases, but the third now is just to burn the boss, there isn't actually a mechanic. So, how it works out is when you attack the boss, from a tank's perspective I'll say first, tanks always stay at the throne, get him right in the middle. DPS, keep hitting him. You'll see that red AoE in the top there. One random member will get targeted with that. Now, you need to move away because it's going to damage you and it will damage anyone in the circle. However, to anyone that's in it, it also slows them. So you're all not running out of it, you're walking out of it. So you make sure you go one direction, everyone else goes the opposite direction to maximise the amount of movement. And now the portals. First phase, everyone goes in the blue, all left side. Everyone, every last person. And then once you're in there, this would be where you're going to have these dread seeds appear. Now, you can see here that we need to burn the boss down a bit. I like to move him away from the rest of the main group for this. Because once, there you go, now he's got his shield on. Once he gets the shield on, that's it. He won't do anything to you, he won't attack you. Attack these ads, and you see you've got the crystal there. That's the little dread seed. Seed of the Future, I believe it's called. Now, after you've taken out the second or third spawn of the ads that come up, you'll always see them because you'll see the red mist appear and they'll appear out this sort of red pool. You're going to pick up the seed and move it over there to that that's where the yellow beam is. But we'll get to that when it happens. Make sure you kill the ads because they're trying to actually destroy the seed. As you can see, I've got it now. Put on some hydraulic overrides, 30% extra movement speed, and then you plant it. If you're a sorcerer, what I suggest you do, if you're a healer sorc or DPS sorc, put a phase walk down as soon as you see where the yellow beam is. Then all you've got to do is just, you know, jump to it. Simple when you've got the seed. Okay, that's the first phase done. Now this is the second phase. So back to the boss again. DPS hard as you can. Keep it simple. Just keep bashing away. The next phase though is what's coming up in just a second. The operations frame, right hand frame goes right hand portal, left hand frame goes left hand portal. So to put this in an even simpler way, right hand frame goes to the orange portal. Left hand frame goes to the blue portal. And there you go. Now, both teams here have two different jobs. The left group does not, I repeat, does not attack the boss. What happens is, you kite the boss around, you know, taunt him and all that sort of jazz, but your job is not actually to do the majority of the damage to him. What the job of you is you'll see that you've got these crystals, and you'll see, although on right hand side, you have these crystals. Now what happens is the crystals themselves, where he'll stand, and he'll jump to one of them in a minute. See there, he's just jumped to it. Now, one of those crystals would actually be, would have a blue marker around it. Now you must, if you're on the left hand group, you must attack the crystal with the blue marker around it, but do not destroy the others. Do not destroy the others, just do the one with the marker around it. And you see there, he gets knocked to the floor once it's destroyed. That means we can now attack the boss. On the right hand frame, your job is to attack the boss. Now, if you don't do the crystals quick enough, you'll wipe, because he'll say the vision of the future has been corrupted or something like that, and he'll just mass damage, raid-wide damage, and you won't survive. And there we go. So now burn hard, burn hard, burn hard. However, during the time he has that shield on, he actually still takes damage. So some people make the mistake in not attacking him. Still attack him, but don't waste your best rotation on him. Just, you know, basic attack. Just put some shots into him. You'll see me constantly doing it. You see? Just a few shots. Still doing damage. And now he's down. So attack, 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 and once he reaches almost 0 health, you teleport back. And final phase is just simply burn the boss. There will be some marks and things like that you need to cleanse off, some debuffs. Nothing that does terrible damage, but it is something you want to keep your eyes on as a healer. Or if you're an Arsenal Merc or anything like that can just throw a cure out there, go for it. And you just do yourself, it's tremendously, you know, big help to the healers, for example. Goes down very quickly after all his tricks. There we go. Okay, and so now we move on to Dreadmaster RAPTUS. Okay, this boss has a lot of mechanics to learn. So, starting off, like any other fight, have the tanks go up to him. Make sure he's facing away, because he has got his large, wide attack that he does. That's the problem when someone else taunts off you in the wrong direction. And now, this is his plane. So you'll see you've got green, orange and purple crystals. Purple is tank. Sorry, it's red. Red is DPS. Green is healers. Purple tanks, like I just said. What you do is, as you can see, the whole group's got their crystals. You take your designated role's crystal. And this will come into play later in effect. On story mode, right where I'm standing is where you can tank him, and this is where you will tank him pretty much throughout the duration, except I do something a little bit different at the end here, just to make things a bit easier on some people. But just tank him here, especially for the first half of the fight. That way, when it has the knockbacks going on, you get hit onto the back of that, and all you do is, instead of going miles backwards, you just go straight up into the air, then straight back down again. DPS, always make sure you're behind him. If for some reason he turned around during an AoE, if the aggro table drops, just strafe left or right, just get the hell out of there. Healers, you can stand obviously further away, so that's all good. Right now, he's set the challenges. Now, so you've got a DPS portal, there's a tank portal here that I'm about to go into. Tanks is a little bit different. There is a healer one as well. Each challenge is different. For me, it's just to survive the damage for the 30 seconds or however long you're in there for. The healers have to heal a plagued victim who's slowly being poisoned and slowly being killed off, so you've got to keep him alive to complete your challenge. DPS, you've just got to kill a single solid target, so that's pretty simple because there is 4 of you doing it. And as you can see right there, it's all passed. If you're a tank doing this, and you're watching this video by the way, you'll alternate between which tank actually enters the challenge, because you notice I was on my own there. In red it will say Dreadmaster Raptus is calling his challenges, and what will happen is you'll go, all of you will go into your challenges, but the tanks have to pay attention to the next bit of red text, because it will say which one of you is meant to stay behind. So it will say that someone he's chosen X tank to face his fate, or that sort of stuff. So you would just kite him around in a circle. In fact, you'll see me do it in a minute. And here again, grab the crystals. Remember, you can't do a single thing to him when that shield's on. And there we go, same tactics again. Now though, you'll notice that it will start throwing out some larger, I won't call them cleaves or anything, but it's just some larger, like widespread attacks. And now the challenges are up, and I'm going to be the tank that's left behind. As you can see, he does his ballerina bit, and all you got to do is just kite him around in one big circle. You can take your time here as well, you haven't got to worry about it. And this is whilst all the others complete their challenges. Now what I do is here was someone just asked me to do it. What happened is instead of me being tanking where I was before, you see, if I'd have tanked where I was before during this phase where he has his the whole double end type AoE that he does, what would happen is some DPS and all that, they can't get out the way of it quick enough, but at least this way they have left and right still to go round. They don't have to get stuck on any obstacles or anything. So that's just how it went. I wouldn't recommend doing this on story mode. I would only suggest putting your back up against the purple curse. However, this is just how it went. I will get knocked back a few times, but you know, whatever you've got as a tank or anything, whatever you've got to close the gap. So for me, it's a jet boost or jet blast. Just to rocket back into combat. You'll see me use it here in a minute. There we go. And that's it. Now that he's done all that, all the curses, all you need to do now is focus on DPSing the boss. But watch out for the large AoE, because it is quite devastating. It's very obvious when it comes up, so no one's got an excuse. Like that. I mean, there's no way you couldn't see that. Once again, for healers, any debuffs that you can cleanse, just make sure you can. A little tip for anyone who's new to healing or anything like that, because my main is healing, is make sure whenever you're looking at your players in your operations frame, make sure you've got it to only show you removable debuffs. There's no point you seeing things that you can't remove, you know. You just remove them. That's your job. There's no need for tank swapping during all these fights either. The main reason why you truly need 2 tanks to do Dread Palace is mostly for the end. In fact, I'd actually recommend 2 tanks and 1 DPS with a taunt. And there we go. That's Tyrans done. So this is an extra bonus one, Palace Guardian Mob. I've had a lot of people actually wipe on these because they just don't think about it. Back in the past, you used to be able to like sneak around them because you know you were 60, you were level 60, and you know they were level 55. You could try and just like avoid them. I always do. 1 tank takes the right ad. You can take 2 if you want, because there will be another one behind the stairs as well that will pop out. But I either drag 1 or 2 off. I think this time I just might drag the other one off once it was taken out. I'll take the one on the right, put it into the right hand corner where you'll see that column is. You'll see me in a minute do it. And then the other tank will take the other one to the stairs. Healers go in the middle. Put some AoE heals down to keep us all going. DPS, focus on the target. Focus on the one on me, because I'll take the single one. And then once mine's down, I can single taunt off one of the other ones, off the guy who's got 2 of them at the moment. See, when everyone focuses on something, it goes down very, very fast. And there we go, so I'll pull that one off. And now we all just burn down the last one. And there we go. Little bonus bit there, you know, it's just something extra. Just because so many people have wiped on it in the past, just because they either rush into it or they're just not expecting it to actually be a bit tricky. And now, the Dread Council. So, here we go. Now, this has a bit of an order to it. Now, the primary target you want to start off with is going to be Bestia. Now, what you really want to do here is keep your wits about you. You are going to need one of your tanks to do some kiting. And the person you're going to be kiting is CALAPHAYUS, or CALAPHAYUS. What happens is he's going to have you'll see it right now, a red shield around him. 1 tank's job will be to take him away and just make sure that he can't put down his red debuff all over where you're attacking. You'll see me do that part here. Bestia, you're going to focus all your DPS on her. I do believe it's RAPTUS that will come along and he will keep trying to do some AoE, like saber slashes and whatnot. Preferably, whoever he's aggroing, try and face him away while still putting down DPS on Bestia. This is where it's really good to actually have a DPS with a taunt, because if you can just taunt him off you, just to keep him facing away from the group, would be fantastic. Tyrans will also cast out some death marks as well. You want to cleanse them off as soon as you can. But just be warned that when they are on you, you know, they will need a bit more intensive healing. And you'll see here that I start kiting him here. Now that red debuff that he puts down, you just wouldn't want to have loads of stacks of those in the same place. So the way I kite him is you can do it one of two ways. You can either, especially on story mode, you can just go around the outside like I do here. I'll also occasionally make a dip into the small little extra bits there. But what we do is just kite him around. Try not to stand in the red whatsoever. That's the AoE saber slash I was on about, so you've got to make sure you're out of the way of that. And you just kite him around, spreading that around, but making sure it's contained and controlled. Also try to remain within healer range as well. I don't go all the way to the back of these, I just go down halfway, then U-turn back round again. Now the idea here is that you have 3 minutes to get the Dreadmasters to 50%. And it's more than achievable, more than achievable. Just make sure you're going around in the correct order. Make sure Bestia's down first. Then, if I'm not mistaken, it's, although I don't DPS enough, it would be TYRANS. And then RAPTUS. I believe that's right. Either way, whichever order you do it in, just make sure make sure Bestia goes down first. To be honest with you, on story mode you won't get this wrong, alright? But Bestia first. She needs to go down first. You always finish on Cal though. What will happen is when they reach 50%, they'll actually jump back to their throne, so they won't be on the battlefield anymore. Now, a couple of guys here make a couple of mistakes. Is don't actually stand at the back. You know, try and make sure you're at the side of him so you're not standing in the red. Doesn't do much to you at all on story mode, but it's still worth doing properly. Okay, so now that they've returned back to their thrones, head straight back to the middle, get some AoE heals, pop in healers. Okay. And then, what you need to do is you're going to have Styrak make an appearance again, and also Brontus. So I'm going to main tank Brontus, and I'll make sure you face her away from the group. The other tank will do Styrak, who's come back as a Kell Dragon. The idea is bring the Kell Dragon directly on top of Brontus. Alright, and what you want to do is AoE both of them together. At least that way it's the most efficient way of doing damage to both targets, because Brontus, for example, must be dead before the Dread Counts will come back, because there is a timer here, they will come down again. They don't wait for these targets to be dead. And there's a dragon. Dragon's gone down. So now we finish off Brontus quite quickly here. I mean, when it's just the simple changes, the simplest things make the biggest of changes. Okay, so straight away back to Bestia. Bestia's got to go down first. So I'll be back on CALAPHAYUS again, or CALAPHAYUS. Can never get his name right. And here we go. So same again. If you're a tank, if you're the one that's kiting, do the same procedure as this. Try and dip down into the little extra platforms here. Move around the back. Make sure Bestia's going down first. Whoever has got the Dreadmile, I think it's TYRANS that follows you around. Just kite him around. Just make sure he's following you. Whoever's got the aggro, just make sure he's following you. Now, this is the final phase. All of them will grow slightly larger, and they're all going to start casting a long channel. You've got a long time here. Take out Bestia, then move around a clockwise position. So Bestia, TYRANS, I think CALAPHAYUS next, then lastly RAPTUS, I think that's how it goes. But yeah, all the way around, and you just take them out in a clockwise pattern. You start from 6, 9, 12, and then on to 3. AoE heals is a must. Make sure you get inside them. During this phase, you all do take raid damage. Everyone takes a fair chunk of damage here. Now, as the DPS was very strong here tonight, nothing lasts very long. And then Cal to finish off. As you can see, you will get some debuffs as well. There will be death marks and all the rest of that during this fight, so when you can remove them, try and remove them. And there we go, and that's the weekly done. So that is the end of Dread Palace. Thank you all for viewing. If you have any queries at all about the Black VULKARS, please follow the description below for our website, and any info that you want to ask, any questions at all that you have, just ask there on the Contact Us page. Thank you very much, and take care, and Merry Christmas also.